I feel disgusted by what the Honourable Gentleman has just said. Can you imagine if you're a victim?
Here and outline my disgust at what has happened with regard to the historic grooming gang scandal. The British people want answers.
How many victims does it take for a nation to wake up? Rupert Lowe believes it could be in the millions.
How many girls are estimated to have been raped? Is there a tally for the overall number of rapes? Horrifyingly, it may well be in the millions.
In a gripping confrontation, he demanded answers about the true scale of the rape gang scandal. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. From deportation of guilty foreign nationals to the lack of prosecution data, we'll dive into the hard facts Lowe presented and the uncomfortable silence that followed.
Ask questions of the Labour Party, and several of them. Will the government commit to urgently deporting all guilty foreign nationals involved?
Are you ready for the truth? Rupert Lowe, the Reform MP for Great Yarmouth, has never been one to shy away from controversy. His history of making confrontational statements on sensitive issues has positioned him as a polarizing figure in Parliament. But it's this very willingness to challenge the status quo that drove him to take on the establishment over the rape gang scandal. As Lowe prepared to address Parliament, the weight of his decision bore down on him. The internal struggle between maintaining political niceties and speaking out was palpable. On one side, the unspoken rules of parliamentary decorum urged caution. On the other, the victims' voices, long silenced, demanded to be heard.
Will the government undertake a full investigation into officials who had knowledge of these crimes, yet failed to act?
Lowe's approach was methodical. He spent weeks poring over statistics, gathering evidence that couldn't be easily dismissed. Each number, each fact, was a building block in the case he was preparing to lay before his colleagues. But these weren't just cold, hard figures. Behind each statistic was a story of suffering, a life forever altered by the horrors of gang rape.
How many known foreign rapists per town, per region? Will they publish a breakdown of the immigration status of those involved?
The question that kept nagging at Lowe was simple yet profound. At what point does political convenience become complicity? As he refined his speech, he knew he was crossing a line. His words would not just challenge his fellow MPs, they would force them to confront their own silence on the matter. The atmosphere in Parliament was electric as Lowe rose to speak. Tension hung in the air, thick and oppressive. Many of his colleagues shifted uncomfortably in their seats, aware that what was about to unfold would shatter the careful dance of political correctness they'd maintained for so long.
Preventing this in future. How many deportations have been blocked due to the rapist's right to a family life or other ECHR influences?
Lowe's resolve was steel. He had made his decision. The victims deserved more than platitudes and promises. They deserved action, accountability, and above all, the truth.
How many reoffences have occurred since release? How many of these monsters are walking on the same streets as the girls they raped and abused?
As he began to speak, his words cut through the chamber like a knife. He demanded transparency about the number of victims and the nationality breakdown of those convicted. Each question was a calculated risk, designed to highlight the lack of accountability in previous responses to the scandal. Lowe knew that his confrontational approach would likely lead to backlash, much like his previous comments on other sensitive issues had done. But this wasn't just about Lowe anymore. His decision to speak out reflected a growing sentiment among certain MPs who felt that the establishment had failed to adequately address the issues surrounding grooming gangs.
Here and outline my disgust at what has happened with regard to the historic grooming gang scandal. The British people want answers.
As his words echoed through the chamber, they created a ripple effect, forcing a conversation that many had long sought to avoid. As Lowe's words reverberated through the chamber, a sudden hush fell over the MPs. What happened next would shock even the most seasoned politicians. Sarah Champion, Labour MP for Rotherham, found herself at the epicenter of an emotional storm that would come to define this pivotal moment in parliamentary history. Champion's tears became a powerful symbol of the raw emotions at play, highlighting the immense psychological toll of confronting uncomfortable truths in politics. As Lowe continued his relentless questioning, the atmosphere in Parliament grew increasingly tense. Labour MPs shifted uncomfortably in their seats, their faces a mix of shock, anger, and discomfort. The divide between those supporting Lowe's confrontational approach and those criticising it became increasingly apparent. But it was Champion's reaction that truly captured the nation's attention. Her tears, initially interpreted as a sign of empathy for the victims, soon became a subject of heated debate. Some viewed her emotional response as a genuine display of concern for those affected by the scandal. Others, however, saw it as an indication of Labour's discomfort with Lowe's hard-hitting questions. Champion herself added fuel to the fire when she expressed her disgust at Lowe's language. "It's too rough for the victims and survivors," she declared, her voice trembling with emotion. Her words highlighted the tension between the pursuit of truth and the need for sensitivity when discussing traumatic topics.
Sure, his intent is to get to the truth and get justice, but the language, please think about who hears our words.
This clash of approaches, Lowe's uncompromising quest for answers versus Champion's call for a more delicate touch, epitomized the broader debate surrounding political discourse on sensitive issues. As the session progressed, the emotional temperature in the chamber continued to rise. Labour MPs found themselves caught between their party loyalty and the undeniable gravity of the issues Lowe was raising. The public gallery watched in stunned silence as the drama unfolded, with many struggling to reconcile their own conflicting feelings about the scandal and its handling.
I feel disgusted by what the Honourable Gentleman has just said. Can you imagine if you're a victim?
Expert analysis suggests that such confrontations can have significant psychological impacts on politicians. The need to balance public duties with personal feelings about sensitive issues often leads to emotional distress. In this case, the strain was visible on the faces of MPs from all parties.
Establish a specified task force to root out this wicked evil. Don't just fire these vile individuals, prosecute them.
As they grappled with the weight of the moment. As Lowe pressed on, the anticipation in the chamber grew palpable. Would he reveal the full extent of the scandal? How would the government respond to his accusations? The tension reached its peak as Lowe finally unveiled the estimated numbers of victims, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the assembly. The aftermath of Rupert Lowe's confrontation has sparked a nationwide conversation about political courage and accountability. Public reactions suggest a growing demand for transparency, with many viewers applauding Lowe's willingness to ask tough questions about the grooming gang scandal. This shift in public sentiment reflects a broader frustration with politicians who shy away from addressing uncomfortable truths. The impact of Lowe's actions extends beyond the immediate fallout in Parliament. His confrontation has ignited calls for a national inquiry into grooming gangs, demonstrating how political bravery can lead to significant policy discussions and potential reforms. It's a stark reminder that when politicians dare to challenge the status quo, they can set in motion a chain of events that reshapes the political landscape.
Government publish a full nationality breakdown of those convicted for such offences, along with the location of their crimes.
But this newfound demand for transparency comes with its own set of challenges. Politicians now find themselves walking a tightrope between sensitivity to victims and the need for unvarnished truth. The public's role in this evolving dynamic is crucial. As citizens, we must continue to demand accountability from our leaders, ensuring that the momentum generated by Lowe's actions translates into meaningful change. The grooming gang scandal remains a festering wound on our nation's conscience, and it's clear that only sustained pressure from an engaged public can hope to heal it.